When work began here on what has now become a $4 billion boondoggle, well, the future looked bright. As I covered in my last video, land for a new North Shore wastewater treatment plant had been secured at a good price. A contractor had been signed at a reasonable cost. The timeline for completion fit with regulations. And there had been a celebration. And then things began to go wrong. Very, very wrong. I'm Jeremy Cato, and this is the North Shore. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Okay, let's talk about financing for this sewage plant. Acciona was the key player in this public-private partnership, taking on most of the risk. Because there is a metro-wide benefit to a new poop plant, the feds kicked in $212.3 million, with the province providing another $193 million. So 4/5 of the cost here were to be covered by senior levels of government, leaving little cost for local and metro-wide taxpayers to worry about. Meanwhile, the province had plans for where the 1961-era Lionsgate plant is located. That land was owned and managed by the Greater Vancouver Sewerage and Drainage District, or GVS&DD, the agency responsible for wastewater disposal for area municipalities. But there was also a bigger issue at play here, and it has to do with the reconciliation process. Under reconciliation, the land would be returned to the province, and then the province would transfer it to the Squamish Nation. To be clear, reconciliation plays an important role in this story. In any case, what is clear now is that the design and construction of the plant began crumbling like faulty concrete almost immediately. All sorts of important details can be found in the dueling lawsuits filed by Metro Vancouver and Acciona. In a nutshell, Acciona is suing Metro Vancouver for $250 million, alleging wrongful termination of the contract. Metro summarily terminated the deal in 2022. Acciona alleges that, among other things, the building site is too small for this sort of plant, and that Metro demanded a number of changes that added cost and made the project impossible to build at the original $500 million price tag. Metro is countersuing for $500 million. In court filings, Metro alleges that Acciona breached the project agreement, breached its duty of faith and honest performance, was negligent, and acted in a high-handed and reprehensible manner. I will do a thorough, a more detailed review of these two lawsuits, but suffice to say for now, each party blames the other. The fact is, we have a long record of warnings about what could go wrong with this project. In a May 2013 letter to the North Shore News about the sewage plant project, then North Vancouver City Councillor Guy Haywood and then North Vancouver District Councillor Alan Nixon warned that the $500 million price tag was probably on the low side. Haywood-Nixon added that because the cost burden for this plant will fall primarily on North Shore ratepayers, sewer utility costs could increase by up to 500% to absorb the capital and operating costs of the new facility. This would result in sudden, hefty increases in the thousands for our taxpayers in the city and district of North Vancouver, respectively. We know today that ratepayers on the North Shore will see their utility bills more than double thanks to the cost overruns here on this plant, something we were warned about. Each North Shore taxpayer is on the hook for nearly $18,000 in additional costs. Of course, the final figure could be much, much higher if history is any guide. In their reply to Haywood-Nixon, Mayors Darryl Masato of the city and Richard Walton of the district essentially accused the two councillors of fear-mongering. All three local municipal councils understand the need to keep our costs as low as possible, and the urgent need to have a wastewater treatment facility that meets national guidelines by 2020. With the support of senior levels of government, we can make this a reality. It is now 2025, and the reality is that this plant is way past its due date of 2020. And in fact, if it is ever completed, it won't be done until 2030. Next time, Haywood-Nixon were right about the potential for soaring costs for North Shore taxpayers. And Masato was right to say the allocation of costs across Metro Vancouver is complex. This is all really bad news for those of us who live here on the North Shore. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeremy Cato, and this is the North Shore. We'll see you next time.